Hi everyone, Vidette here. I wanted to do this quick nugget of a video for you to break down whole intelligence. Intelligence is unified, it's freedom, it's truth. It is who you are at a sovereign um, at a sovereign level. And this truth has been conditioned out of you. It has been hidden from you and conditioned in another way so that your power, your true natural power, your sovereignty has been forgotten. But now I want to remind you what your sovereignty is and what your truth is. I have a link for you to download this infographic so that you can have it in front of you. You can print it out, you can hang it for yourself so that you can be reminded all the time how powerful you really are. So if you take a look at the infographic at the bottom, we have controlled intelligence. This is the intelligence, this is the knowledge that you are given and in the 3D world. And those powers that be, and that's artificial power, let me make sure I say that, these nefarious globalists who have run our world for millennia have controlled what knowledge you have been given. This comes in the form of indoctrination, and it comes in the education of traditional education. Now, not everything in traditional education is a bad thing. It's just you're not taught the expansiveness of the knowledge, and many times you are taught a pivot, a degree off of what truth is. And if you remember that if a ship is on a course and goes 1 degree off course, eventually it gets really, really far from its natural course, its original course. You came into this incarnation, into human form, to be fully sovereign you, to be your full power, to be the full expression of source energy, of source consciousness in human expression, in physical expression. And through the indoctrination of education, you have been geared, or you have been directed, maybe one, if you're lucky, if not a lot of degrees off your original path, which means you are operating in a pathway and in an intelligence that is not you. When you go into elementary education and you go into systemized education and higher education, college, university, you are given information and wisdom and degrees that give you partial knowledge and partial intelligence of a form of a subjective form, right? And as you move into those higher educations, into those mastery level of intelligences, which might be specialized education, specialized in a form of career. The indoctrination is, we're going to teach you what you need to know to go into a career that will then be where you live your entire life. It will be how you live, how you make your living. If you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant, you go to a mastery level of intelligence, of education, you get your degree, and many people stop here in their education. At the same time, we also get experiential education of life. So just going through these bottom portions of the ladder here of education, you gain intelligence. Okay, so some people then come into the world, these people are known as empaths, with a higher level of intelligence, which is the 4th dimensional emotional intelligence. Okay, the emotional intelligence is the feeling part of life. However, these bottom levels of education condition the partial intelligence of emotional intelligence out of you. It is indoctrinated in you that your feelings don't matter, that you are dramatic, or that you are overly emotional or overly sensitive. If you have feelings, if you tap into the intelligence of feelings, you are then labeled a certain way, and it becomes wrong to show your feelings, to use your feelings. This indoctrination is the degree in which you have been off your path. Because when you are out of your emotional intelligence, it takes half of your intelligence away and takes you only to what you know, to what you have learned, to what you have been indoctrinated with. The emotional intelligence is the portal between your physical self and your higher self, your spiritual self. And if you don't have emotional intelligence, you then cut out the portal to higher wisdom, to higher knowledge, to a higher expression of you, to your original path, your original purpose. That is why you've been conditioned out of the emotional intelligence of you. The emotional intelligence then has two different layers, or has different layers. I'm not going to say two different. That's not true. It has layers. The emotional intelligence, you have the life constrictive emotional intelligence. This is living in the intelligence of fear, of anxiety, of worry, of stress, of overwhelm, of grief, of shame. All of these lower intelligences have been indoctrinated into you through mainstream media, through the physical universities, or through the physical education, through the lower education, through the indoctrinated education. Because if you don't go to university, you have been taught that that is bad, right? If you don't have some kind of certification, if you don't if all the things, I think y'all know what I'm talking about here. But fear has been used as your education into emotional intelligence, which again blocks you from the life expanding mastery intelligence, which is the intelligences of emotional intelligence that expand you: love, peace, joy, creativity. All the things that expand your awareness, expand your perception, have been filtered between the indoctrination of traditional education and the lower constrictive emotions. So by keeping you in those lower constricting emotions and teaching you that that's where you reside and that's what you need to pay attention to, you are blocked from feeling all of the expansiveness of the higher levels of life expanding emotions and life expanding intelligence. Life expanding intelligence. Because once you get that the emotional intelligence is just as, if not more important than the learned intelligence, you then expand into higher intelligence, which is the spiritual intelligence. This is where you then have whole intelligence. You have emotional and you have the logical learned experiences. You integrate as a unified, multidimensional being, which means your the physical part of you, the energetic part of you, as well as the spiritual part of you integrates into a multidimensional being. And at that point, you make contact with a higher intelligence, source intelligence. And when you are in contact with source intelligence through the light of the sun, through the light of information, through the light of wisdom, those light packets come in to your beingness and expand you into a higher level of existence, a higher level of power, a higher level of expression in physical form. And at that point, you then rise into into your sovereign power, your natural power, your purposeful power, the purpose in which you were created in your unique expression by Source Creator now starts to express itself. And at that point, you are a whole human being. And through your life experience as a whole human being, you rise up into universal whole intelligence where you are free, where you are truthful, where you are sovereign, and where you cannot be controlled. This is the pathway of the ascension of spiritual intelligence. This is what we are learning, relearning, remembering in our ascension journey. As we go higher into higher frequencies, we start to come into a whole intelligence and navigate life in a whole intelligence. That is where our fifth dimensional soul expression starts to unfold. This is the place where this world is going, the world in which you choose. Whether if it's a 3D world, you're going to stay down in these lower levels of intelligence and operate in the indoctrinated education you have been given. And education means the knowledge, the beliefs, the patterns, the indoctrinated beliefs, thoughts, and emotions that create your world. In that third dimensional lower intelligence is just partially who you are and what is available to you, and you will live a very limited life. The fifth dimensional world is available for all, and that's when you rise up and you start to look and feel at these lower emotions, work through them to raise yourself up to places of love and peace, and and let go of the conditioning and open up into an expansive whole intelligence, where's my camera, which expands and expands and expands. And that's when life expands in ways you are not expecting, that feel unknown to you. And in those places of the unknown is when the potentiality of everything you have ever desired and more becomes your physical reality. And you are free to do that. You are free to create it. You are a sovereign natural being in a unique expression of source consciousness, which is the 12th dimensional consciousness. Source is the 12th dimensional consciousness of everything. Sweet souls, we are relearning how to be human. We are learning how to be a human being. We have to let go of the indoctrination. We have to let go of the lower education that we have received and open up to what is available for us to learn. Thank you for being here. Please print this infographic out to remember who you are. Remember who you are. Thanks for being here in this beautiful sun. I'm sending the sun here from Saranda, Albania. This little light packet of information and wisdom is coming through these sun rays to you to remember who you are. Mwah.